influential at that next level up as he is on the Saints side. He doesn't. All the things that people have criticised Williams for over the years about not being a dominant leader, not always having a tactical kicking game, those sorts of aspects of things, I think applies to Lomax as well. And Lomax right now is arguably the best player in Super League, but I'm not sure what's stopping him from being as good again at that next level up in the international scene. I really hope we'll get the chance to see that, because he can take a game apart. He is that talented.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think as well, and I was talked about it over the last couple of weeks. I think I particularly mentioned it last week. Saints have been introducing Aaron Smith too late into games. In this game, it sounds like they got him on at half time, and that's when things sharpened up as well for Saints. I think he's a much snappier player being a natural dummy half compared to James Bentley, who's doing a stand-up job filling in. He actually had to end up filling in the centres, I think, in this game, and scored a try out there and did quite well. But good utility player, good young kid. But Aaron Smith's a much different proposition out of hooker, and I think he really did help get things a lot more snappy around the ruck, and gives Lomax the ball quicker, which gives him more chance to weigh up the defence and beat them with his skill and his vision.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather start with Bentley on the bench, as you say, for his utility value, because you can put him in the second row, as you say, you can use him as an emergency three-quarter, and he's probably better being the relief to Smith rather than the other way around.
I'm not sure Smith's ready yet to play the full 80, so I can get holding him out from the start. But I'd be bringing him on during the first half at the very, if you're not starting him, I'd be bringing him on after 20 to see if he can change a game at that stage. I know they didn't need it in round 1. They needed it in round 2, and they didn't do it. And I just think this kid needs a bit more game time. The excellent adventure can continue then for Aaron Smith Esquire. What I will say, consolation for Hull fans maybe, some of the tries in this game were absolutely miserable. They were just you couldn't tell who didn't knock on the ball before it was put down as a try. The first try in the game was like that. Luke Thompson's try was like that. But Hull did score the best 2 tries in this game. Carlos Tumavavi's second try, where he basically handed off everyone that wanted to come near him as he broke up the field down the touchline and ended up, like I say, batting off everyone that came near him and running the length to score. That was a fantastic individual effort. And the Jamie Shaw try, I would say it wasn't quite as good as Ben Crooks, and the reason I would say that is the ball hit the floor a couple of times in this movement, but so it seemed a bit more desperation than just magic clicking, but it was a fantastic, endeavour to get the ball offloaded so often, and certainly the last couple of passes that, there's a wide pass, and then there was a inside offload to set Jamie Shaw free to score. That was a fantastic try overall. So Hull FC did score the best 2 tries of the game, I would say. But Saints are back, I guess.
Well, it appears they've remembered who they are, which is just about in time for next week.
Yep, I mean, who can pick what's going to happen in games like this? This was the first game, and the next game we'll talk about will be the second game, where the team leading at half-time didn't go on to win the game this season so far. So there had been 14 Super League games up to this point. The team leading at half-time had won all of the previous 14.
So this has broken the spell, it would appear.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So yeah,
let's talk about Big Shock.
Yes, absolutely. Also on Sunday, down at Bellevue, it was Wakefield 18, Warrington 8. It was 2-0 to Warrington at half-time. That tells you something. 5,197 were there, and Marcus Griffiths was the man with the whistle. Do we have player stats for this one?
Yes. Just the individual ones. Matty Ashurst, 1 try, 40 tackles. Bill Tupu, 124 metres. Reece Lynn, 112 metres. And Tom Johnston, 1 try and 111 metres. For the Warrington side, Ben Curry, 1 try assist, 49 tackles, 10 mark. It's great reading these ones out because so many players in my dream team actually turned up this week. Joe Philbin, 40 tackles, 10 marker tackles, 136 metres. Tom Lynham, 113 metres and 3 clean breaks. He'll be disappointed to have not had any try involvement from 3 clean breaks. And Matt Davis, 44 tackles.
So moving on to fan views. So EFC78JU says, I'll try and put my...
you're doing this one. I can't do a no punctuation with this card.
I'll try and put punctuation in. I'm so embarrassed. We've points on the board, but not as much as what we put on at the DW Stadium on the opening day of the Super League fixture. When we had 10... I lost it. And we still lost to Wakefield 18-8. So embarrassing that we've lost for them 2 losses in a row. Do not make it 3 on game week 4. Please use some punctuation.
Wakey White said, when I saw the team sheet side by side before the game, I feared the worst and was wondering if our scoreboard could accommodate triple figures. As it was, Wakey turned in a great defensive effort to keep the Superstars down to a single score and deservedly won the game. Matty Ashurst was like a heat-seeking missile in the middle, and it was great to see Johnston finish a 50-metre try. Bring on the Tigers.
Mark Wilson says, an unexpected but welcome 2 points for the Trin. A real tussle in the first half, pretty even between the two sides. Wakey didn't panic and Ashurst burst onto a Miller pass at an angle, and then Tom Johnston picked up a loose wire pass to race home from halfway to seal the win. What a welcome sight that was. Hopefully many more to come from #AirJohnston. P.S. Widdop was shit. Now to beat the Cass bastards.
Mike Dodd 22 said, my first trip to Wakefield left me with a one-word review, windy. The game was a real arm wrestle. I'm glad he gave us more words. The game was a real arm wrestle in tough conditions, with the ball clearly deviated in the air when any passes were thrown over about 3 yards. At least it was nicer than the jungle. Oof.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
There's not much to say though, is there?
Well, no. The toilets are drier.
So the highlights of this match were 1 minute 39 seconds. The first 25 seconds of that were penalty kicks. I'm thinking that tells us something about the quality of this match. What do we think?
Yeah, I checked the score at half-time just after the T20 had finished, and it was probably just early in the second half by that point. And the score was still 8-6. In Warrington's favour, and I had to pick which game I was going to put the radio onto, and it was halfway through Saints' run of 4 tries, so I decided on this game instead, and I think it was at the point where Hampshire had been kicking all these penalties, so it was a very close game at that stage. But like I said, there was a lot of penalties and not a lot of action.
No, I mean, from the highlights I've seen, it looked like a heavy surface. Obviously, Mike talked about how windy it was. It was, whilst Dennis wasn't as bad as we might have expected, it would have certainly had an impact on the game, without question, and that kind of certainly would have evened up this contest, which is obviously what we saw.
And a new halfback pairing. First time out for the Austin Widdop combination, so not the ideal conditions to try and get your game flowing. I would think.
No, definitely not. But actually, it was kind of the crucial point, as Mark talked about, was was Wire looking like they were going to make a break, only to drop the ball, and say Johnston to kind of swoop on the ball and gallop away for the match confirming score, you would say, wouldn't it? So
that came very quickly after the Matty Ashurst try. It seemed like Warrington were having a few issues when they were going wide anyway, and play was breaking down, possibly because, like they were saying, the wind was affecting the passes and that sort of stuff. So like the Ashurst try had put Wakefield back ahead, and it didn't feel like, listening to the commentary, it didn't feel like it was much after that. When you listen to radio leads after they've scored a try, they go around all the other action and all that sort of stuff. So it probably was the 3 3 minutes or so that it says it was on here on the story of the game. But yeah, it seems straight away after that it was like a double bang bang, and that big blow for Warrington. I mean, who expected this?
These are the kind of results you can get early in the year, though. Yeah, well, yeah, definitely a coupon buster. I certainly didn't pick it. But yeah, it was just one of those, as you say, it's just one of those games. Wakefield, desperately needed a win. Big win for them. Warrington can't be too affected by it. As you say, new half-back pairing, kind of letting things settle in, difficult conditions. It's not something necessarily for them to worry about going into next week, you wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, okay. Not tons to talk about then.
Unfortunately not.
Do you want to give us the standings?
Yep. So early on, the table is looking familiar with Saints now top and Wigan in second. Huddersfield are the only unbeaten side, though, in third. Hull FC and Castleford also have 4 points. 6th to 11th are Leeds, Warrington, Catalan, Wakefield, Hull KR and Salford, all with 1 win and 2 points. Toronto are bottom with no wins from the 3 games they've played.
Stat line of the week, there was a few contenders. It was a close call between Johnny Lomax and the eventual person it's gone to, which is Jackson Hastings. I mean, 4 try assists is a big number, but 5 tackle busts, 145 metres and 2 clean breaks as well show that he was very influential and active in his side's performance. Player of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna counter you with your stats.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I'm gonna go for Cameron Smith. 2 tries, 41 tackles, 11 marker tackles, 130 metres, going both ways.
Yeah.
And as you said, he was quite impressive in this one. I kind of, someone who may not necessarily attract the headlines every week, I'm going to go for Cameron Smith.
No, yeah, you're right. And it's the kind of diversity we celebrate.
Yeah, we love guys who go both ways on this podcast.
Yes, of course, yeah, fair enough. Who's your player of the week?
Ooh, player of the week. I'm going to go for Bevan French.
He is an excitement machine, but I've gone for one of his predecessors in the Wigan #1 shirt, Sam Tompkins. I just think clearly he was the main man in that performance for the Catalans Dragons, and we should focus on someone like him a little bit more, maybe, even though he's had his troubles as well off the pitch. But just because it was it seemed like a vintage performance with the tries I used to see between 2010 and 2013 so often. I think a return to those standards for Sam Tompkins makes him my player of the week.
Fair enough.
Highlight of the week, though, I'm going to go personal on this one. So, with so many great tries to pick from, I'm still going to pick Burgess's try for Wigan. I just think I know it came from a poor kick, but the work from French to get in the in-goal area, the work from him to tap it quickly, notice where the space was, Hastings to be there, and then Burgess, the power he sprinted away with. I love Joe Burgess in full power sprint.
I can understand why you've gone for that one. I'm going to go with Newman's first try, just because it was beautiful interplay. So Harry Newman's first try for me.
Excellent. In the predictions from last week, I went 4 out of 6. Sarah went 3 out of 6. It was actually Sunday's results that we both slipped up on, but Sarah went for Castleford 2. In terms of the host Super Brew, it's changed some things, but not everything. Alan, you stay top in our mini league. I'm wearing the yellow cap this week, though, and Sarah's holding the spoon this week, but Tim is still on the bottom. So, like I say, some things change, some things stay the same. In the main Super Brew, Steve Pye holds his place in the top spot, so still doing a fantastic job this year. And it's kind of, I'd say his debut SLP year for Steve is, I don't remember seeing too many match reviews and things like that from Steve before this year, but he's certainly contributing well this year, and his predictions are backing that up.
He's picking.
Yep. Although St David wears the yellow cap, and he had a big week, rising 15 places in the standings. Then into the Fantasy League. I'm not sure if these guys just didn't enter the league early on, but we're starting to see some of those names creeping back into the top of this table that have been there every year since 2014, and it's Liam Reddington who's topping the table. He had the best weekly score as well, 774, which is a fantastic weekly score from Liam, so great to have him back in the competition, and I say great. You know, it's always something to aspire to, but you never feel like you're going to win when you've got him and Alan Bagley knocking around that competition. But then
you see that, yeah, this is why I retired from